You know, a movie where Hugh Jackman bears several different weapons but has no claws? That's just confusing to me. My name's Charlie, and this is what's distracting me right now. So Prisoners is a movie that follows Keller Drover, played by Hugh Jackman, and Franklin Birch, played by Terrence Howard. They're two loving dads from loving families, and they have pretty much everything going for them, and then the worst thing that could possibly happen happens to them. Their two daughters get kidnapped, and it's just horrible. It's effectively a race against time to get them back. But surprisingly, the two main characters in this movie aren't actually Hugh Jackman and Terrence Howard. You'd think that Terrence Howard would play a larger role in this, but he just doesn't. He's in the film tiny amounts compared to the actual two main characters, and honestly I couldn't tell you the first thing about him. I had to Google his name. But while Terrence Howard is off trying to prevent a recasting with Don Cheadle, Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal hold the screen. Jake Gyllenhaal plays Detective Loki. No, not that one. That would be way too entertaining. The two are trying to get to the bottom of this mystery in the ways that they know how, and they're completely different and contrasting. Loki does some pretty standard detective work, like, knocking from door to door, sitting in cars all night on stakeouts, and just being a general all-round detective. And they painted this in a really realistic light, as well as the rest of the movie, actually. He doesn't get anywhere for most of the movie and just hits a load of dead ends before he actually finds something and then can do something about it. Jacman, however, goes to insane lengths, which you can agree with considering he's a parent that's lost his child, but he does some horrible things during this movie, and I find myself wincing whenever he's doing these things, but I can understand the motivation behind them as well. It's not like he's being a Heisenberg or anything. He's just doing some pretty bad things to try and get his kid back. Hugh Jackman was an incredibly good and convincing actor in this. Most of the scenes that he were in just completely stole it with his performance, and there was some scenes where I thought it was just too real at times. I felt myself wincing and turning away in my chair from it. The scene where he's in the bathroom with the hammer, that had me going, ugh. The way that the girls were snatched as well was very well handled. You spend the entire time with the parents as opposed to, cutting away and seeing them being lured into this place or being abducted or whatever. You pretty much feel what any parent would be feeling during a time like that. This movie is kind of like an emotional roller coaster, and I don't mean like Space Mountain, I mean like a ghost train. You want to be on it, but you also don't want to experience it at the exact same time. It's really hard to explain. This movie was really hard to sit through at times, and I should probably say that when I was going into this, I had no idea what I was going to see. Me and my friend just went to the cinema and said, I hear Prisoners is good. So we went, bought tickets to that, not having any idea and not being prepared for the movie at all. I probably should have gone and seen Rush in all hindsight. Is Rush good? I hear Rush is quite good. Is Rush good? Please, tell me. This isn't a film that you enjoy, despite how good the film is in its core level. The actors are amazing, the plot is intense, and etc., etc. This isn't a film that entertains you. This isn't a film that you enjoy. The film is so surreal at how real it is. I know that sounds weird, but whatever. And this is what makes me conflicted about it. I mean, it's like you're watching a documentary about what's going on. You're pretty much living with them. Like there's barely any music, and the cinematography is extremely basic. Which, although you could say, films need music and good cinematography, this actually helped it to ground itself in this extremely real world. Unless you just sit back and watch the performances that are happening on screen. In the end, Prisoners was a pretty good movie, but would I recommend it? It's hard to say, really. Hugh Jackman should be Oscar nominated. That's just he should just be Oscar nominated. He was fantastic in this film. Jake Gyllenhaal was really good as well, and this is just overall a really well put together, stylized movie. But would I recommend it again? I would say if you're going to watch Prisoners, then you need to prepare yourself before going in. This isn't like preparing yourself for Memento, where you can still enjoy it even if you haven't prepared yourself for it. That you need to prepare yourself to go through an emotional train wreck. You need to know what is going on before you go into the film, because this isn't entertaining, but it's a film that you kind of have to experience to show that a film can be good without it being entertaining. I know that sounds odd, but So I'll end this off on a more light-hearted note. What is your favourite Hugh Jackman performance? I know a lot of people would expect me to say Wolverine, but I would have to go with Robert Angier from The Prestige. Him and Christian Bale just made that movie for me with their on-screen chemistry and performances. It was fantastic. Also, the fact that Batman and Wolverine was sharing the screen together kind of made me squeak. As always, I'm Charlie, and this is what's been distracting me.